Welcome back. Now, if you were busy on Friday, you might have missed the frosty reception the Prime Minister and the Victorian Premier had at the Bush Summit. Sky News called Bush Summit in Ballarat on Friday. Local growers and graziers that didn't hold back. Both the Premier and the Prime Minister copped it. Have a listen.
The bush gives you something you simply can't find anywhere else. The fresh air, the quiet, the space.
We do need energy, and the cheapest form of new energy is renewables. Climate change, the science told us that climate change was real.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to stop if you keep interjecting.
Now, clearly, all of that anger in the room clearly got under the Prime Minister's skin.
But I won't bullshit people. I won't say.
I think he's been doing a lot of that for a long time. Let's get into this now with my panel. Joining me now, One Nation Chief of Staff James Ashby and Queensland Senator, LNP Senator James McGrath. Well, gents, welcome. James McGrath, I tell you what, people are angry. You know that. I know you get around the bush in Queensland. I spent January and February doing stories from the Mallee in Victoria. They're angry then. They're even angrier after legislation being rammed through the Victorian Parliament, fining them tens of thousands of dollars if they want to lock their gate to these transmission lines. But the message is getting through in Canberra.
The message is not getting through to the Prime Minister. He said he's not going to BS people. I'm not going to swear because our kids might be watching the program, but this guy is a BS factory where there's all the stuff, all the lies he told during the election campaign, all the lies he's saying now. He takes Australians for granted. He particularly takes rural, regional, remote Australians for granted, and so does the Victorian State Labor government. They don't care about the bush because they think the food is something that comes from the fridge and not from farmers.
I tell you what, it's been a wet and cold winter for much of Australia this year. So when you open up your power bill, have a listen to this. You might be doing it tough, but not so the boss of Australia's largest energy company. The electricity giant received $1.2 million in a pay rise. That's just the rise last financial year. That's the boss of Origin Energy. Not the only one, though, James Ashby. If you are an energy boss, you're in good clover. But if you're an ordinary Australian, you're battling to pay the bills.
And we saw last year 200,000 people towards the end of 2024 were at least 90 days in arrears when it came to paying their power bills. And here we are, less than 12 months on, and 40% of households and businesses are now struggling to pay their power bills across this country. It's only getting worse, Peter. And the solution this Prime Minister and this government say is to put more renewables not only into the national grid but into your household. How can you afford to put these on? I'm fortunate enough, Peter, we're in a position we're about to build a new house. I looked at what the Prime Minister's been proposing, and to put a 100 kilowatt system on a house plus the redundancy of a diesel generator is going to cost me at least $150,000. Who can pull that from their backside to try and mitigate these high energy costs that are just going up and up and up every time we open a power bill? No one can. No one's buying the BS, as the PM likes to say. He likes to use that colourful language, but no one's buying it, PM, and that is why both he and the Premier of Victoria copped the backlash from that audience. It wasn't one of the typical scripted or contained media presence. This was in front of a live audience where anything could go wrong, and they felt the heat of that audience last week.
I actually thought they were polite. I've heard worse in the pub when the Prime Minister's name's been raised with me when I've been out filming, so I thought they contained themselves there. Let's go to some big business down in Victoria. A range of Australia's largest retail companies have finally found a bit of backbone against the Allen Labor government. And this is over work-from-home policies. They're saying that the changes that Jacinda Allen want to bring in, and of course Victoria's a Petri dish. If it comes into Victoria, it'll be replicated around the country. They're saying that the plans make no sense. It's nothing, they say, other than a grab for votes. We hear too over the weekend, James McGrath, that story that, you know, surprise, surprise, working from home has actually increased the mental health issues of those who do it all the time because they say they are isolated and they are lonely and they're missing the camaraderie of the workplace.
Well, it's pretty much common sense. People do miss the workplace. They miss the gossip around the water cooler, the shenanigans in the kitchen over who spilt some mess in the microwave, and the fact they can talk person to person about issues that impact their employer. And what Victoria shows is a government that does not have the right priorities. Crime is out of control in Victoria, particularly in Melbourne. And what is the government doing? They're talking about anything but crime, and they're interfering in the relationship between the employee and the employer. If the boss and the staffer want to come to an arrangement where people work from home or don't work from home, let them do that. Let freedom reign there. But the fact the government is doing this just shows it is all about votes. It's not about the priorities of Victorians, which has been kept safe.
Other than a need to pay my mortgage, I came back to work because I missed you all. You know, this is the whole point. This is the whole point about work from home. And, of course, it's a big problem in Victoria because it's basically the whole state works from home if you're in the public service, unlike the other states where the premiers have said, even Labor premiers, get back to the bloody office. Hey, talk to me, if you can, James Ashby, about this story today in The Age. Revelations that the Allen government will establish a permanent taxpayer-funded Indigenous body. It's a voice mark too. Special access, though, for this body to the Parliament and to ministers as the centrepiece of the treaty legislation. Now, this has been secret. And Allen has said when pushed on this in press conferences that nothing's off the table. You know, go for broke, everything's on the table, including reparations. This is not going to bring Victorians together. This is going to create even more division, isn't it?
Yeah, sure will. And I was speaking to our One Nation member in the upper house there in Victoria, Ricky Lee Tyrrell, who happens to be Indigenous, I might just say. She doesn't play on it like others do, but no consultation with her. And I've been told that it will pass, not only with the Green support, but the Stoners and Animal Justice will get behind and back Labor in implementing this legislation. What I find really interesting, as you know, we've got the Declaration of Human Rights statement that needs to be assessed every time a bit of legislation goes through. Well, it's been revealed today, if you can get anything out of this, that a treaty compatibility statement will be required for any legislation moving forward. And it again just pits white versus black or Aboriginal versus everyone else who wants to call themselves Australian against one another in Victoria. It's not a good sign, and unfortunately it's going to be railroaded through as legislation. I don't think Victoria will ever have the numbers on the Conservative side moving forward to ever repeal it.
Oh, this is where the Victorian Leaders have got to go for broke and win a landslide and unwind
and
this
the cost,
stuff.
$70 million a year.
Clause in this legislation. 100% in a state that's almost bankrupt. Hey, a big win for Linda Reynolds last week in the defamation case against Brittany Higgins. Calls for the Prime Minister now to apologise. Well, James McGrath, when is Labor going to take some responsibility here, not just for the many millions of taxpayer dollars paid out on the basis of some of the information in this defamation suit, but also those mean girl senators?
It's not just the mean girls, and I'm looking at you, Penny Wong and Katie Gallagher. It's the mean boys like Murray Watt and the Prime Minister, because he won't apologise to Linda Reynolds. And as importantly, he won't apologise to Fiona Brown, who was a staffer who did the right thing, has been caught up on this. If the government had any morality, they would apologise to Linda for the treatment that she was put through, because she did the right thing by all of her staff, and they would also apologise and ensure that Fiona Brown is looked after. But we've got a mean and tricky Prime Minister and a mean and tricky Labor government.
Just quickly, James Ashby, this has happened while I was away, but data's in now. 1 in 10 parents pull their kids from childcare. I am sympathetic to their view. But we also find, despite legislation in Victoria, there's a whole lot of people that are walking through these so-called checks. There is no integrity in the system. There are still loopholes.
Yeah, and given we've now got almost a third of Australians born overseas, it's very hard to do those police checks when they might have a clean record here in Australia, but we don't know their history when they've been when they've come in from another country. It is a concern, and I don't blame parents for reducing the time they want their kids to spend in childcare with this new knowledge.
Yeah, and I've got to say it again, the money should go to the parent to choose the sort of care that best suits their family at the time, and not go to the unionised childcare industry. I'll leave it there, gents. Great to have your company. Enjoy the sitting week. I'm great to be back. I am delighted